Hey guys, this is Notser, and today we're talking some ship news. Round 2 testing for submarines just went live. Also, rank sprint at Tier 8 just went live, and it includes aircraft carriers. So I'll talk about that. This game in the background is actually from my rank sprint progression, and it's in the Lightning, and it was actually an entertaining game, so that's why I'm going to share it with you. And then finally, the 4th directive is about to become available. This is the directive portion that rewards a Tier 6 premium. And I just want to talk very briefly about that and remind everyone that it is available. So the Submarine Round 2 testing just went live. Unfortunately for North Americans, for the testing, it's at a very odd time, but it's perfect for Europe and Russia, as it should be because it's literally hosted in St. Petersburg, where they developed the game. And because of that, they can have a quick turnaround on the server and host it themselves. Round 2, very exciting. Couple changes. Depth charges are now manually controlled. The hotkey for it is G, and this makes sense if you played submarines because G key is how you're assigned to periscope depth. They also introduced a consumable for the submarines to use as a countermeasure to DDs that do get inside of depth charge range and can use it. So you have this great back and forth where one class, the DD, wants to get over top of the submarine, use depth charges, and sink the submarine. Now the submarine can go to a depth where they are basically immune or reduce the damage they take. I haven't tested it exactly, but they can go to a depth that the depth charges are not effective for a very short amount of time inside of the consumable activation. And I'm sure this consumable activation is going to be a big deal. You know, this is a submarine activation. This is their smoke. This is something that they need in order to survive in a game. And the only time when it's not critically important that they have this is when there's no depth charge ships capable on the map. And we're still, the jury is still out on whether DDs alone will have this responsibility, or maybe light cruisers or something more than that even. We don't really know how far they're willing to push this for the sake of gameplay. Hopefully, based on what we see in round 2, they've taken a lot of suggestions in trying to improve the interaction between submarines and DDs. It was very harsh. DDs were just a dominant. It was an ultra hard counter in round 1. Round 2, there's a little bit more back and forth play, and I like that. The manual depth charge, it's exciting. Even if, you don't get any extra kills, it's a skill that someone will have to develop. And is that skill something that's going to overwhelm players? Well, maybe. But you don't have to worry about hunting submarines until at least, Tier 5, Tier 6 as a DD. You've learned pretty much every other basic trait of DDs before that. You should be set up for success, theoretically. I certainly feel like having a manual control is always in my best interest because I make good decisions in the game. I try to make good decisions in the game. And if you make good decisions, you would probably do something more effective than what the AI or automatic systems would do. Because automatic systems just aren't aware of exactly the situation and understanding how to get the most out of it. You should be able to recognize that. And I'm really excited about this sub versus DD. It's really creating that rivalry that should exist between the two. Can we push it further than that? We'll see. Also, what they've done is they've sort of rebalanced the torpedoes. They boosted the dumbfire torpedo damage slightly, and they reduced the ceiling of the double ping homing critical, which was doing 70, 80, 90% of a battleship's health. Obviously, way too high for a ship class that can't really avoid it. What, you go bow on and you just refuse to give him the other point so he can never ping it, right? You're too slow and you don't know the exact direction. They also described that they wanted to make the player a little bit more aware of where the direction came from the ping. So they're really trying, I think, to take the feedback from the player base. Still a couple things that were worrying. Hydroacoustic, still completely useless. You sort of have your own hydro. Radio location has been disabled. It has to be rebalanced. The first iteration of radio location, not really that balanced. Radio location could see when you're above, below a water. you never even had to understand what your submarine acoustics were telling you in your compass menu. Your compass would just, it would give you a little bit of a sonar ping, and it would point towards a general direction, but your radiolocation was perfect. They disabled the radiolocation for now. They gotta fix it. Obviously, radio waves don't work very well through water, but once they fix it, in my mind, radiolocation should only work on the surface for and against. That way that submarines are underwater, they develop that skill. DDs, if you're seeing your radiolocation bounce, someone's going above water and then coming back down. It's skill gap. It's creating a gap for players who understand and perceive the game more precisely, can use that as a window to take advantage, and I like that. Good changes. And then there's a little bit of homing in the sub versus sub gameplay now that they actually have to try and dodge. They don't just get it for free by leaving the surface. Kind of cool. I really need that Hunt for Red October fix. Round 2 changes are spectacular, from my opinion. Great changes all around wargaming. We need this kind of growth in order for these classes to really fit with all the other established, because you guys have done a great job with DDs, cruisers, and battleships. Now, Rank Sprint is live. Tier 8 Rank Sprint is live, and it is 7 versus 7, and it does involve aircraft carriers. And I know, they're overpowered. They camp. They win every game. I've heard that, and you know what? That's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that the Enterprise is the best aircraft carrier at Tier 8 for a number of reasons, and they are really good at late game. They're really good against isolated targets. They're really good against players who aren't trying to fight the air with their priority target or active maneuvering. But if you're presented with someone who is playing their class exceptionally well, they do very good at shooting the aircraft down, mitigating the damage, and if they push the tempo early game, then the aircraft carrier doesn't have the kind of impact that it had in the previous competitive version. I think the previous version that we had competitively was like 8.5. The 8.7 AA changes were wonderful for this relationship, and honestly, I was giving it as well as receiving. And my knowledge of the game far outweighed any power that a class may or may not have over each other. And I think that's good. That is a much better relationship than we've had with the aircraft carrier. Is it perfect? No. I mean, the fact that the Enterprise is as dominant to the point where everyone with one immediately feels like they've won that matchup. Yeah, there's probably a little bit too much there. But if you can push the tempo early game and limit that carrier's late game impact, it doesn't really matter how good your carrier player is. I found this out plenty of times. If the game is lost, the game is lost. And that's good. That means that no single class decides the game completely. And the first, or the version prior to this carrier, absolutely decided the game regardless of the situation. So I'm also very positive on the rank sprint. I've already finished it. It was really fun. It was really straightforward. I played literally anything I wanted and did a great job. So very happy with that. No real qualms or issues with it. 7 versus 7 does feel like, a person's picking on, but you can always retreat back to your boys and their AA, and a couple layered AA with priority sector, very hard to deal with. Very, very difficult. You'll waste the carrier's time, and honestly, you'll probably do a better job of working as a team when you're close to another player. Just saying. I was having great success being a DD, capturing bases. My battleships were great tanks. It didn't really matter. Whatever class I played, I felt like I had the right amount of impact on the game. And I could honestly not say that for the longest time. This is probably the closest I have felt to the skill of the player being the most important thing, and the class as a second layer. It's certainly important, but not as important as the skill. So I'm very happy with that. And then let's talk about the 4th Directive. 4th Directive is going live in a day's time at the initial release of this video. The reward is a Tier 6 premium from a container, and it will randomly roll one. If you have all of them, it'll randomly choose one and give you the doubloon value, and it'll give you a commander randomly selected. If you have all but one or two, those are the only ones available to randomly roll. But if you're a free-to-play gamer and you don't have any tier 6s, this is a perfect opportunity to get something of value. I mean, there's a really great selection of tier 6s that anyone would be happy to get if they play this game at all. Historical, competitive, quirky. Make sure that you complete these directives and unlock this before, I want to say like October 16th or so. That is when the next patch is supposedly coming out, so you have about 2 weeks to complete this, roughly-ish, couple days, give or take. Take the opportunity and do it. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, click the most recent or the most relevant uploads. You could also choose to subscribe to my channel. We do daily World of Warship videos, first impression, how-to, news, and review related. My North American recruit invite is on the screen. You can take advantage of that. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.